Today we're going in depth into my finances of delivering for Amazon Flex, a kind of experimental service by Amazon where you can download an app. It's kind of like DoorDash or Uber, and you work for Amazon just whenever you want. You can just take a shift and you go deliver packages. Instead of getting hired and doing part or full time with one of their vans, you do it with your own vehicle on your own time. I've done it for 1 year now and completed 100 shifts, and I recently did a video about why I'm probably done for the most part. That's more on my personal experiences, but this one is diving into the money side. So you can watch the other one if you want, but you don't have to understand and enjoy this one. Right off the bat, I've actually only done 99 shifts, and I would have done another for this video, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to get a shift in over a week. Being a contractor instead of an employee, there's no guaranteed hours. So while you, as the worker, never have to show up to work if you don't want to, Amazon as the business never has to give you an opportunity to work either. But over those 99 shifts that I've done since last October of 2022, I've delivered 2,742 packages, I've driven 10,511 miles, and I earned $9,182.81. And this took me 318 hours. But that $9,000 is before tax and before expenses, and it doesn't account for everything. So I did all the math, and we're going to get exactly how much I made, in addition to lots of details about these shifts themselves. So feel free to use the chapters in the description, or you can just scrub the timeline to see the parts you're interested in. To start off, I made this rough map of where Amazon has taken me to deliver packages. So you don't get to pick where you go. The warehouses, the main one is located in Durham, the main one that I go to. There's also one in Mooresville and one in Garner, which is south of Raleigh. Now, there are different types of Amazon deliveries. There is same day and overnight delivery. There is Prime 2-day or 1-day delivery, depending on where you are. But there's also Amazon Fresh, which is groceries, Whole Food deliveries, because Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, along with a few others like Prime Now, which I haven't actually done. You can even do some retail stuff, like one of the malls near me, you can do it via Amazon. But I've been taken as far over in the head over here to Winston-Salem. The majority have been in this Raleigh area. And as you can imagine, North Carolina is a very diverse state in many ways, and I think it's pretty cool. I love North Carolina. But that also includes the type of housing and the type of place you're delivering to. So there's the suburban deliveries, which I've done about 50 shifts in these suburban areas. So this is townhouses, single family houses, and apartment buildings. A lot of people don't like the apartment buildings. I don't mind them too much. It's not the worst, honestly. While about 35 of my 99 shifts were very rural. This is like down lots of dirt roads, gravel roads, out with like places with no service, which is quite a pain when you're delivering Amazon and you rely on your phone to do this, but you have no service a lot of the time out there. It's farmlands and fields and just deep into the woods, the more rednecky parts of North Carolina. And then about 10 of these shifts were the total opposite. Downtown, the heart of Raleigh, the heart of Durham, on city streets with lots of traffic and lots. Look, I'm really bad at the downtown deliveries. I don't know how I haven't been just like fired or like banned from the app. I guess you don't really get fired, but I'm very surprised that I haven't gotten more complaints because I am very bad at finding areas in the city. But yeah, about 10 were downtown and city, and then about 5 were just commercial districts, basically, where I'm only delivering to businesses and warehouses and loading docks, them like literally the docks with all the big trucks and the big, even just the big UPS trucks that are delivering pallets of things. Then I just scoot on over there in my sedan, drive up to the loading dock and hand them like a single Amazon package. So I actually think those are pretty cool. Suburban are my favorite, where it's just like one after another banging out houses in like neighborhoods. And then I prefer the commercial and business after that. And then I prefer rural. And then I just hate doing the city shifts. And before we continue, speaking of money, I've mentioned this before, but look, if you haven't yet, I recommend it. Rocket Money, I really like this app. I use it, especially when it comes to Amazon, to keep track of everything from my car charging to my income. They're not sponsoring this video, but I am an affiliate. So if you use my link in the description, I get $10, which is kind of epic, and you get to save money. I think of Rocket Money as a way to like aggressively stalk all of my finances. It keeps track of everything from my net worth to my income to my expenses to if I get charged twice somewhere, it'll send you a notification and it's like, oh, you got charged twice, or is this right? And I'm like, oh, they actually noticed that for me. So ultimately, it feels weird to say, but I do kind of feel like the app has my back sometimes. It's like it's watching out for me. They can even literally lower your bills because they negotiate them for you. So I've been impressed by the app. And I'm hoping they'll sponsor me again for like an official sponsor. But until then, you can use my affiliate link to save some money and track all of your every penny that enters and exits your account in a very aesthetically pleasing way, because the app is quite nice. So anyway, back to Amazon, but you should download Rocket Money with my link, of course, because I want money too. Wink. I know the big thing people are very curious about is the actual total cost of what is done to my car. So I do this in a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. So I figured the best way to calculate the wear and tear on the vehicle is to basically take all the maintenance that I've done on the car and just average it out, and then figure out how many of those miles were from Amazon, not including the damage from when I was in a flood one time, because that was not during Amazon. So my car has 102,000 miles on it. I purchased it with 0 miles on it in 2019, and then 10,500 of those are Amazon. So I've spent just over $6,000 on the wear and tear and maintenance and tires for the Tesla. So most of this is actually tires. I've spent $3,600 on tires over the 4 years, over the 100,000 miles of this car. So 10% of these miles are from Amazon, so $360 has gone towards tires. Now, it's a heavy vehicle. It's about 4,000 pounds, even though it's just a sedan. I get cheaper tires nowadays. I used to get the more expensive, like more premium tires for the Tesla. I've also spent about $2,200 on the suspension. I talked about this more in my Uber video. It's kind of a common thing with Teslas, especially the 2019 Model 3. You can kind of expect you're going to have to replace almost every part of the front suspension, and I have replaced pretty much every part of the front suspension. I've also spent $128 on air filters for the cabin air. I've spent about $30 on wiper fluid, $120 on a new 12-volt battery, because yes, Teslas do also have a 12-volt battery for some reason. I don't know why. Meaning that the total maintenance cost doing flex is $611. People act like it's a bizarre vehicle to deliver Amazon in. Like, customers are especially confused and surprised, but it's actually one of the most common vehicles that I see at the Amazon warehouses. Lots of Model 3s, lots of Model Ys, but there's a lot of vehicles you might not expect. Like Dodge Chargers are possibly the most common vehicle I see delivering Amazon Flex, even though they're literally like advertised as gas guzzlers. So for some more context on my car, there isn't much maintenance you have to do overall to electric vehicles. I actually even have the original brakes, original brake pads, and original rotors after 102,000 miles. And that's because of regenerative braking. So when you let your foot off the accelerator, the vehicle uses friction to slow the motor down, and this charges the battery as you slow down. And it means that you don't have to use your brakes. It's called one-pedal driving in some vehicles. Now, you can also do this in gasoline vehicles. So for example, in my Subaru BRZ, I engine brake a lot of the time, which means that you actually use the engine itself to slow the car down. So you shift to a lower gear, which means your RPMs will be higher, which means that there's more force slowing your vehicle down. So in addition to applying the brakes, you also get that extra stopping force if you want to stop more quickly, or you want to keep your brakes cooler. Electric cars, you kind of do this, you just remove the whole brake part. So yeah, interestingly, most days I'm driving, I never even touch the brakes, which is kind of nice, so that saves some money. And the car doesn't really have much else. There's no transmission, there's no spark plugs, no belts, no fluids, no oils. So ultimately, if the suspension didn't suck off the factory floor, that would be way cheaper. And it's basically just tires is what the vehicle has had. I do need an alignment on the car. Tesla was going to charge me $270 for an alignment, so they were like, you probably just want to take it somewhere else. So I'll do the alignment later. That should be, I don't know, $100 maybe. But it's not just maintenance on the car, it's also getting the car to move. So in my case, I charge it, and I have spent doing Amazon $630 in charging. You can charge at home or at superchargers, which are those like white and red Tesla things that you've possibly seen like in your town. About 75% of my charging is at home, which is cheaper than at the superchargers, which you pay for. So for reference, if I had done all of these shifts in my Subaru, I would have spent about $2,100 in gas. So it is cheaper. Granted, the Subaru only takes premium and gets 20 miles a gallon, but I just used it as an example. Which means that the $9,200 that I made goes down to $7,959 after expenses, but this still does not account for taxes, because you're not an employee, you have to pay the taxes yourself. It's not withheld from your paycheck because there are no paychecks. It just goes into your bank account. But before tax, I made almost exactly $25 an hour. So $25.02 per hour over the past 12 months, accounting for the maintenance. Now, luckily, taxes get reduced because you're basically running like a little tiny business of one when you're working for Amazon Flex, meaning that you can write things off as expenses and you can get deductions to lower your tax bill. I think I have it right. Okay, I'm not a certified accountant. Please use a certified accountant when you're doing your taxes, but these are just rough estimates. I believe the write-off is 62.5 cents per mile, which means that my taxable income of $9,200, if I did this math right, comes out to just $2,600 because I drove so much. I drove over 10,000 miles doing this. So 10,000 times 10,500 times 0.625 is a deduction of $6,500, which doesn't seem right. Did I do that right? You know what? Just ask your accountant. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did it right. It just seems wrong. And so then it's how much you actually pay on, for, in my case, the $2,600. So that'll be $260 in federal tax, but there's also state tax, which in North Carolina is like 5%. So $130 in that. So it's actually not too bad. Basically, after federal tax, I'm making $22.52 an hour delivering Flex. That is my actual take home per hour. So, oh yeah, and that comes out to $7,163. That's my take home after 318 hours of driving for Amazon Flex. I take home over $7,000 still. Now, if we want to do some hypothetical math, this is 8 weeks equivalent of full-time work. Because 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, that's 8 weeks of work, which means that if you could actually do Amazon Flex full-time, you could make a take-home, this is after tax and after expenses, the money that you get to see and do whatever you want with would be $3,581 per month, which is a hypothetical annual salary of $42,978. And personally, that would actually be plenty for me to like pay all my bills and stuff. However, unfortunately, even though this sounds kind of nice to make $22.50 an hour take home just delivering packages, good luck actually getting 8 hours worth of shifts every day, because like I even said, I haven't gotten a single shift the past week. I'll check right now. Live Amazon. Oh, my phone's upside down. Checking with GoHerping Live. Can we get an Amazon shift? It's currently 12:25 in the morning on Wednesday, and there's an app update. Can I skip the app update? Hopefully. And there are, look at that, 0 offers available. So yeah, unfortunately, the best months I could do, I could get about 5 to 7 hours a day. But generally speaking, I can get like 4 hours a day pretty much. So yeah, you can't do it full time basically. Let's talk more about just the actual earnings themselves and stuff. Now, I don't want to repeat myself in every single Amazon video. So if you want to understand how Amazon pays you, please pause the screen now. With that information that you now have, because 33 of the 99 shifts paid the base rate of $15 to $18 an hour. 15 is the base rate for Amazon Fresh and I think Whole Foods, while 18 an hour is the base for actual Amazon packages. But 66 of these 99 shifts paid 20 hours or more because I would just hold out and wait for those increased rates that you can get. So 42 of the 99 shifts paid 25 or more an hour, while 16 paid $30 or more an hour up front, and then 6 paid a resounding $35 or more per hour up front, which is pretty good, I must say. Now, for the most part, I finished early, but 2 of these shifts I actually finished late on. The very first shift I ever did, the first day I was working for Amazon Flex, I was just late on like multiple deliveries. Look, I was getting the hang of it. I think I deserve a pass. Amazon did not give me a pass, and they immediately lowered my standings in my account. And the other shift that I was late on was the first and only Whole Foods delivery I ever did, which just sucked. I'm not even anywhere near that Whole Foods, so it was like a really long commute just to get to the Whole Foods. It was only an hour and a half shift, and I took like 2 hours to do it. The benefit of the Whole Foods shift is you can get tips, but you can also get tips with the Amazon Fresh shift. So overall, I much love Amazon. Amazon Fresh is actually my favorite to do of everything, but it's kind of hard to get fresh shifts nowadays. I haven't gotten one in a long time. Whole Foods, however, was not so great, and it kind of sucked, and it took way too long. But maybe it was just one bad experience. Who knows? I'll probably never do it again, so we'll never know. 31 of the 99 shifts took the full allotted time that you're given, and it is important to finish on time, because once you're past that, they do start marking the packages as late, which can affect your standing. As long as you finish on time, you're good, but it still sucks because you make less per hour because, yeah, you took more time. So 31, I was just basically on time, which is mostly from the recent shifts, because early on I was always finishing early. Nowadays, not so much. They've really strictened things up. They've really made it more difficult. And so yeah, 31 on time. 48, however, took 75% to 90% of the allotted time. So on average, I have about 20% of a buffer of time. However, 15 of the 99 shifts, I actually was able to finish in less than 2/3 of the time given to me, which is pretty nice. That's when I really make the good money, which is why my hourly is, even after tax and after expenses and everything, is still over 22 an hour, even though Amazon's base is 18 an hour because of me finishing early. Okay, so what was my actual hourly though, based on the time that I actually finished the shift in these? And this is after the expense to charge the car. Well, 20 of them were 14 to 19 an hour, which is not great. That's basically just when I finish on time, there's no increased rate, and I've paid to charge, I make sometimes as little as 14 an hour. But most of the time, 46 of the shifts, in fact, I was making 20 to 29 an hour when accounting for how much time it actually took me. 20 of these shifts, I made 30 to 39 an hour, which is pretty epic. Now, 4 of these shifts, I finished so early and they were such an increased rate that I made $40 to $49 an hour. So if I could do this full time, that would be pretty nice. But yeah, it's not common. That was 4. But 5 of these shifts, okay, I made $50 to $59 an hour after the charging expenses because I finished so early. And one shift, a singular shift, I made $70 per hour. This was on Black Friday. It was a very good Black Friday shift. So I'll have my eyes peeled this November for another Black Friday shift. It was a 5-hour shift estimated, and it paid $147.50, but I finished it in 2 hours. Hey, $70 an hour, I'll take it. I'll do many things for $70 an hour. Let's talk about mileage a bit. 43 of the 99 shifts were less than 100 miles to complete the shift. This includes me driving to the warehouse, and then me driving to drop off all the packages, and then me driving to wherever I'm gonna go after that shift. So normally it's me going home, but sometimes it's me going back to the warehouse for a second shift, and sometimes it's me just being done at my last drop off, and then I turn on Uber and start Ubering in the area. Now the average is 100 to 200 miles per shift. This was 53 of the shifts, and 3 of them were over 200 miles to complete a single shift. Interestingly, the highest I ever did was 238 miles for a single shift, and it was only a 4.5-hour shift. These shifts, how many times have I said the word shift? These shifts go up to 5 hours, but the 4.5-hour one was the one with the most miles, and it was my first ever Amazon Flex shift, which is kind of interesting. It was my first experience into Amazon was very unique. It was only 18 packages, 238 miles, and it was in Greensboro, which is nowhere near the facility. A very just bizarre, unique shift that I never really got. And that's also a video. I recorded my very first Flex experience if you want to watch that from a year ago. On average, the packages I get it's about 30 packages, sometimes 20, sometimes 40. The most packages I've ever delivered in one day was like 80 to 85, and that's because sometimes I do double up and do 2 shifts in a single day, and that was like 50 packages one shift, 40 packages another, or like 35. I don't know, it was about 85 packages in a single day, which if you are a DSP van driver, 80 is possibly not even as high as the average. Oftentimes they're delivering over 100 packages per shift, but that's because most van drivers are delivering house to house to house, like literally back to back, because people order so much stuff on Amazon. The most I've delivered in a row is 4 houses around the same cul-de-sac, I think. I just like picked up a horde of packages and just walked around the cul-de-sac, which was kind of fun actually. I like doing that. But for the most part with Amazon Flex, you're driving very far house to house. Now, the shifts that you accept can be whatever shifts you want, of course. 16 of them were 5 hours, 32 were 4.5 hours, 17 were 4 hours, 8 of them were 3.5 hours, 15 of them were 3 hours, 10 of them were 2 hours, and 1 was the Whole Foods shift, which was 1.5 hours. The 2-hour shifts are Amazon Fresh. There's sometimes Amazon same day for 2 hour. Personally, it's not worth it to me to drive all the way to the warehouse for a 2-hour shift, because that might only be like 30-40 bucks or something. 54 of my shifts started between 3 and 5 a.m., which is my preferred time, while 45 were during the day, starting between 5:30 a.m. and 8 p.m. I do not like doing that time because of traffic and stuff. I love starting between 3 to 5 a.m. Preferably, I always start right as close to 3 a.m. as possible. So 3:15 or 3:30 a.m. is my preferred starting time. I like being the first person through that door before it's just chaos everywhere. And normally I can finish right before rush hour starts. So it's very nice. I like it. And also 6 of these shifts required 0 deliveries, which was kind of nice. But also I do want to mention, I kind of forgot to put this in before, of one of my very negative, my worst warehouse experience was, so basically when you go into the warehouse, you scan with your phone and your app their piece of paper that's on the cart of packages. So there's a QR code on it and that confirms the packages, and then you throw them in your car. The QR code was not working and it just kept freezing the app, and it said, please, it had an error come up that they had not seen before. I ended up waiting around at the warehouse for an hour and a half trying to get this to work. Now it turns out I was right the whole time. It was not in fact my fault. They thought that my phone was messed up or that my account was messed up, so I kept logging out and logging back in and restarting my phone and stuff. But I was like, hold up, I have a second phone. So I went and got my second phone out of the car. I tried to use that one, same thing, still didn't work. And they were like, well, it's not our fault. And I was like, well, I think it is. And finally, I got them to just give me a different block of packages, so a different cart. They pulled that one away, pulled a new one up, and guess what? It worked immediately. Now, yes, it sucked because I just wasted an hour and a half of my time, but the worst part was I had 2 shifts that day. I had to do that 4-hour shift, which I had just eaten almost 2 hours into because I was sitting around at Amazon. And then the moment that 4-hour shift ended, I had to get back to a different warehouse. So that was really annoying. It was like the one negative experience where I was like just genuinely pissed off at them. And so I was driving like an absolute maniac trying to deliver a 4-hour block in 2 hours, and then also I had to charge the car for a half hour after that, and then also get to the other warehouse, but I did it somehow and I still made it on time. So that was the bad side. The good side is sometimes they have too many drivers and not enough packages. So 4 of the shifts that I took, they were just like, whoops, we don't have any packages for you. You can go home now, and you still get paid the full amount, which is cool. So you just drive to Amazon, you scan, they're like, uh-oh, no packages, goodbye, and then you drive home. So that's nice. 2 of them, however, were even better because in Durham, we had some really bad power outage issues during some recent storms, and basically all of Durham had no power. And so that meant that the Amazon warehouse had no power. So I had already signed up to a shift, and then I drove there because I woke up first thing, set an alarm, drive to Amazon. Nobody's there. I'm so confused. It's like pitch black out and everything. Then I checked my email. It turns out they canceled my block because the power was out. I still got paid. And then I was like, hold up, can I do this again? And I found a second block about to also start because they still had the block, like the whole algorithm was still pumping out Amazon blocks. So I got 2 blocks that day, and I didn't have to show up for either of them. So that was nice. And then also one of the Amazon Fresh shifts, so Fresh works a little bit differently. With the Amazon packages, they know once you get there whether there's going to be any packages. But Amazon Fresh, you're kind of on standby. So in case someone places a fresh order, there's a driver already waiting at the grocery store ready to bring the packages or the groceries to your house. So this means that you're not supposed to ever leave early from the Fresh location. And instead, you just have to sit in the parking lot for 2 hours at most. Just waiting for one to come in, and then if nothing comes in, you can just leave and you get paid. But I got a little bit ballsy per the recommendation of someone else there. They were like, yeah, when it's the last shift of the day, like 8 p.m., and nothing comes in, I just leave after a half hour and nothing's ever happened. So I decided to do just that. I waited for a full hour, and I was just like in the car watching Netflix, and after an hour nothing came in, so I was like, all right, whatever, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go get food and go home. And then 30 minutes before the shift ends, while I'm in the drive-thru picking up my food, an order came in, and I have to go back to Amazon very quickly and deliver that block of orders. Now it ended up just being a single order I had to go back to. So like one lady 30 minutes before Amazon Fresh closes orders her groceries, I have to go all the way back with my food. And then she canceled the order. So I drive back to Amazon. I drove to Amazon twice with my cold food, and then I got canceled. So I got paid $30 to watch Netflix for 2 hours and then eat cold food basically. So yeah, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. It was fine. But yeah, that's the overall financial breakdown of Amazon. So over the past 12 months, my take-home income was $22.50 an hour, which for it to be a job where all you need is a vehicle and like not really any skill, you just need like working legs, I'm very happy with that. And I think it's still a very good way to make supplemental income. Definitely not a good thing to do full time and not a good thing to rely on. But when you're watching your phone and you see a good shift pop up, it's very nice to take it and make that extra little lump of cash and throw it at your debt or your bills, or just buy something frivolous because you want to. It's pretty neat, and I definitely do like that. Unfortunately, again, so far I've just been having a lot of trouble the past few weeks to few months with A, getting shifts at all, and B, when I do get those shifts, they're just not great shifts because they take a lot longer. This is the reason it's not really worth it to me now, is because with the new algorithm change and with how difficult it is to get a block, it's better for me to just go drive Uber instead, because I can make more doing Uber, and I can just go online at any time. Versus Amazon, you have to lock it in. So again, if you want to see more details about my personal experiences and why the next year of Amazon might not look as good as the last year, you can watch my most recent Amazon video. Hopefully it'll get better around the holidays and I can do some more Amazon, and I'll also record it for you again. So we'll see. After all expenses and stuff, that basically covered like 4 months of my mortgage for 8 weeks of work. So I'll take it. I'm happy with that. And again, I highly recommend using Rocket Money. I literally use it every day for everything from just watching my credit score, which you can also do on like Credit Karma, but it's nice to have it in this app that you have all these other features with seeing my expenses, getting notified when there's an unusual expense, when it literally lowers my bills, when I can see my monthly spending and my monthly income and keep track of everything from my Amazon earnings to my YouTube earnings to what I'm spending on YouTube and what I'm spending to do Amazon and all my Tesla. It's great. It's very nice. I highly recommend it. Rocket Money is linked below, and if you use my code, I get a $10 kickback, which is quite nice. I appreciate that. That is almost a half hour worth of Amazon Flex time that you're saving me from doing, which also hopefully Rocket Money will save you money as well. And it probably will, most likely. But that'll be it. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.